Have you ever told someone a lie? Even just a small lie? Come on, it's okay to admit it. We've all done it. But when you tell a lie, have you ever thought about what you're actually doing? And I'm not talking about sparing someone else's feelings or protecting yourself. I'm talking about what you're actually doing to the message that you're sending that makes it a lie. Well, thankfully for you, lots of other researchers have. That's right, there's a whole field of study devoted to lying. Yeah, you better watch out. Okay, so lying isn't something new. In fact, even the ancient philosophers have discussed this. Socrates talked about what he calls a noble lie, or what we today would call just a little white lie, something that you do to spare someone else's feelings. And then Plato, he went into something called a true lie. It's a lie that's so bad that even the person lying actually believes it. But more modern times have brought more sophisticated theories. In the 1900s, researchers started looking at deception a little more closely. But most of the early studies focused on how we behave when we lie. You know, all those little tells that we look for when someone's being fake. Maybe they look away, or their voice gets low, or they start touching their face. Then in 1992, Stephen McCornack comes along. He was a professor at Michigan State University, and he developed what is perhaps the most influential theory about lying that we have today. And he called it information manipulation theory. So, rather than looking at how we behave when we lie, McCornack started looking at a few other aspects. IMT is based on one simple assumption, that normally when we speak to others, we are not trying to be deceitful. So McCornack looked at what makes up a true statement and what we do to that in order to make it a false one. He found that regular, truthful conversation includes 4 different elements, which he called his maxims. And deceit happens when we violate one of these 4 maxims. So what are these 4 maxims? Well, that's easy. They're quantity, quality, relation, and manner. Now, let's take a closer look at each of these maxims in order to see IMT in action. Quantity. Quantity is the assumption that when we communicate with someone, we give our receiver just the right amount of information in order to communicate clearly and accurately. In truthful conversation, we give our receivers just enough detail so that they can understand us, but not so much that our message gets muddled. Have you ever heard of the term lying by omission? That occurs when we intentionally don't give our receiver enough information in order to give them the wrong idea about what we're trying to say. That is a violation of quantity. Quality. Quality refers to the assumption that what we say is factual. In truthful conversation, we assume that our sender is saying something that is accurate. Violating quality is what we traditionally think of as lying. It's simply stating something that isn't true. Another term that McCornack uses for this is falsifications. Relation. Relation is the assumption that your comments are relevant to the situation. In normal, truthful conversation, we assume that when someone is talking, their comments are relevant to the topic at hand. Violations of relation can take many forms. Oftentimes, it looks like someone's trying to change the subject or avoid an issue. This is actually a common tactic used in politics, especially when someone's trying to deliver bad or embarrassing news. And finally, we have manner. Manner looks more at how the message is presented rather than the actual message itself. Manner looks at things such as body movement, facial expressions, and even inflection. Violating manner is often the case when you're sending mixed, ambiguous, or even sometimes the opposite message of what you're intending. So, to sum up, Information manipulation theory is what we look at when studying deception. It's a holistic approach that looks at the message itself, the context, and the manner in which the message is relayed. It's based on the assumption that each of these elements are present in truthful conversation, and that deceit lies in violating one of these elements. So, the next time you tell someone a lie, even just a little white lie, I want you to stop and think about what you're doing. That is, what you're actually doing.